Be still now. Close the door of the outer world and come within. There, in the sacred silence of your soul, dwells the power that shapes your every tomorrow. You were never meant to chase the world. You were meant to remember that the world responds to your inner gaze. All things, people, circumstances, riches, healing, appear according to the state you occupy within. So what is the first step? Focus on God. Not the God of distance, not the God of fear, but the God within. The I am. The moment you say I am, you call upon the Creator. Every identity you attach to that statement becomes your reality. I am peaceful. I am provided for. I am healed. These are not affirmations. They are divine decrees. But you must humble yourself before this power. And humility is not weakness. It is reverence. It is the realization that your limited senses do not dictate truth. What you see with the eyes of flesh is only the echo of an old thought. What you choose to dwell upon now becomes your tomorrow. To humble yourself is to surrender the need to figure it all out. It is to let go of your timelines, your complaints, your need to be right. The proud demand signs. The humble walk by faith. And in this faith you must stay silent. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you are allowing the greater part of you to work. When you plant a seed, do you dig it up every hour to check its growth? No. You leave it. You trust the soil. So too, when you plant your intention in the soil of your spirit, you must let it rest in quiet faith. Silence is your strength. In stillness, the power moves. In silence, the doors open. What you do not speak of often comes to pass faster, for the world cannot interfere with what it does not know. So today, stop explaining yourself. Stop defending your desires. Stop asking others for validation. And above all, stop doubting the God within you. Focus inward. Bow in gratitude, not for what you are hoping to receive, but for what already exists in the unseen. And then be still. Let the stillness prove what your words cannot. The power that forms all things is not somewhere far away in the sky. It is not locked behind a temple door, nor is it reserved only for saints and sages. This power, the divine essence that breathes life into worlds, raises valleys, levels mountains, and answers unspoken prayers, dwells quietly within you. It is closer than your hands, nearer than your feet. It is in your breath, in your silence, in your imagination. And until you recognize this eternal truth, you will always live as if the world has power over you. Most live in fear because they believe they are separate from the source. They wake up worried about what the day will bring, fearing lack, judgment, rejection, or failure. But what if you knew that everything you would ever need is already seated within your being? What if you could understand that the world you walk through is not something happening to you, but something unfolding from you? You were not created to be powerless. You were created in the image of divine consciousness. And this consciousness doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. When you say, I am, you awaken that very power. I am is not a name, it is a door. And what you place after it becomes your experience. Look around your life. Every condition, every relationship, every pattern, these are mirrors of what you've accepted as true about yourself. If you have long believed you are unworthy, you will meet people who treat you that way. If you have believed you must work hard to earn love or success, life will echo that belief until you finally see that it was never about struggle, it was always about awareness. The power is not outside you. The world is not your master. It is your reflection. And the moment you change what you accept as truth within, the outer world must follow. This is law. You are not subject to your past. You are not bound by your upbringing, your environment, or the opinions of others. You are subject only to your inner assumptions. You become what you believe yourself to be, not what you wish to be, but what you accept as real in the stillness of your mind. Imagination is the creative faculty of the divine within. What you imagine and feel to be true becomes the substance of your world. You do not need to wait for things to change to feel peace. You need only enter the state where peace is already real. You do not wait for money to appear to feel rich. You move inward and assume the feeling of wealth. You think from the desired state, not toward it. This is not denial. This is creation. Once you realize that the divine lives in you as your own wonderful human imagination, you'll stop pleading with the world. You'll stop praying as if God was some far-off figure who might or might not hear you. Instead, you'll go within and commune with the I Am. You'll speak inwardly, not as a beggar, but as one who knows the truth, that to assume a state is to manifest it. This is the quiet power that forms all things. And when you recognize it within yourself, fear dies. Because what is there to fear if you know that all you need to do is enter the state of what you desire and let it unfold? What is there to worry about if the world only reflects your inner world? You move differently. You'll speak less. You'll trust more. You'll begin to live not as one hoping for change, but as one who is the change. It has always been within you. Now is the time to remember. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of something far greater than noise can contain. In silence, you meet the eternal. You touch the source. You enter the place where the Spirit breathes and where creation quietly begins. It is not through loud declarations or repeated affirmations that the deepest manifestations are born. It is through stillness, through trust, through the silent knowing that God is already at work. Many believe they must speak endlessly, beg passionately, or declare their desires over and over again for the divine to hear. But the Spirit does not respond to volume, it responds to faith. And faith, true faith, does not need to convince. It rests. It leans back into the silence and allows the unseen to do its work. When you speak too often of your desire, when you explain, plead, or justify, you are not in belief, you are in doubt. You may not realize it, but every word spoken from fear delays the very thing you are asking for. Words, when spoken in anxiety, crowd the sacred space where miracles were meant to arrive. They make noise in a room that was built for peace. The most powerful moments in your spiritual life will not be marked by the things you say, but by the things you allow yourself to feel in the silence. It is there in that gentle stillness that the presence of God whispers truth to your soul. Not in shouting, not in spectacle, but in silence. You don't need to announce what you're creating. You don't need to explain your journey. You don't need to prove your faith to anyone, not even yourself. Your stillness proves it. When you can sit in the quiet and feel the reality of your answered prayer without needing anyone else to confirm it, that is when it begins to manifest. That is when the inner world starts to move the outer world. All of creation begins in the invisible, and silence is the womb of the invisible. In silence, the seed takes root. In silence, the old breaks down and the new is prepared. To the outer world, it may appear as if nothing is happening, but the one who understands the Spirit knows better. They know that in stillness, God works fastest, because there is no resistance, no panic, no interference, only allowing. Most people are afraid of silence. They rush to fill it with noise, conversation, distractions, or endless questions. But silence is not to be feared, it is to be entered. Because silence is sacred. It is where you release control, where you stop managing outcomes, where you let go of the need to be seen or heard or validated. Silence is strength. It is not weakness to say nothing. It is not passivity to trust in quiet. It is alignment. Those who know the truth walk silently because they are certain of what is coming. They do not need to speak of it. Their spirit already holds it. You are not required to shout your intentions to the sky. The whisper of belief within you is loud enough for the entire universe to respond. God is not hard of hearing. The Spirit is not confused. It is precise. It is responsive. And it is activated by your inner acceptance, not by your outer expression. So hold your peace. Sit with your desire in stillness. Let your inner world become full of the thing you seek, and then fall silent. Trust that what you have accepted within will be made visible without. Not because you said the right words, but because you entered the right state. Silence is the highest form of faith. It says, I do not need to see it yet. I already know. And it is in that knowing, in that sacred silence, that all things unfold. Humility is often misunderstood. It is not self-deprecation. It is not shrinking to make others feel tall. It is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. To humble yourself is not to lose power, but to bring your power under divine alignment. It is not weakness, but strength harnessed with wisdom. The wild river that is tamed becomes a source of life. The same river left unchecked can destroy. Such is the nature of power. When guided by humility, it becomes creative, not destructive. In the world, many confuse pride with strength. They speak loudly, demand recognition, and rush to defend their names. But true power does not need to prove anything. It does not need applause or attention. It moves quietly, efficiently, and with great purpose. A lion does not need to announce that it is a lion. The same is true for the one who is spiritually awake. They know who they are. They know what lives within them. And in that knowing, they are free to be still. Humility is not forgetting that you have power. It is remembering where it comes from. It is recognizing that your life, your gifts, your mind, your breath, all originate from a source far greater than the ego. And so rather than take credit for all that flows through you, you surrender the need to be seen and instead seek only to remain in harmony with that higher order. You become a vessel, not the origin. You become a channel, not the source. The quietest vessel often holds the deepest oil. The most refined spirit often walks without drawing attention. They carry something too sacred to display for the crowd. Their richness is inward. Their peace is not for show. When you humble yourself, you allow this richness to deepen. You stop leaking energy in the form of defense, comparison, or control. You no longer fight to be right. You rest in the truth that your worth is not up for debate. It has already been established by the divine within. To humble yourself is to become teachable. It is to admit that you do not know everything, and in doing so you make space for revelation. Pride closes the door to wisdom, but humility keeps it wide open. It says, I am willing to be shown. I am willing to learn. I do not need to lead every step. I am willing to be led. And in this surrender, miracles begin to move, not because you forced them, but because you align with the order through which they arose. When you release the need to elevate yourself in the eyes of others, you become available for elevation in the eyes of God. Those who try to lift themselves by shouting often fall the hardest, but those who go low in reverence are lifted high in purpose. The Spirit honors the quiet heart. It trusts the one who does not seek credit. For it knows that what is done in humility cannot be shaken by praise or destroyed by criticism. So let yourself go low, not in shame, but in reverence. Bow not to the world, but to the divine law within. Let your ego become still, so that your spirit may rise. You will find that everything you are chasing outside of yourself, respect, peace, direction, abundance, begins to come not when you grasp for it, but when you let go and align with something higher. This is humility. Power surrendered to purpose, willingness wrapped in wisdom, and in this state you become not smaller but stronger, not diminished but defined. You are no longer a wave crashing against life, but the deep ocean, calm, vast, and full of unshakable presence. Faith is not a frantic reaching, it is a quiet receiving. It does not beg, chase, or wrestle for what already exists. Faith is not born in struggle, it is revealed in stillness. When you truly believe that what you desire is already finished in the unseen, you do not rush to force its arrival. You rest. You breathe. You walk in quiet confidence, knowing that delay is never denial, and what is yours cannot pass you by. The world teaches that you must push harder, speak louder, do more. But in the spiritual realm, more noise does not create more power. The opposite is true. The most powerful manifestations are not forged through struggle, but accepted through surrender, not through effort, but through alignment. To believe is to know that the seed is already planted. And what does the farmer do once the seed is placed in the soil? He does not dig it up, worried it won't grow. He does not scream at the earth, begging for roots to form. He waters it, he watches, he waits. And he knows, because the nature of the seed and the promise of the soil are enough. So it is with faith. Once you have imagined the end, once you have felt the reality of your desire is already fulfilled in the unseen, you must let it be, not because you have given up, but because you know it is done. To continue worrying, doubting, or forcing is to uproot what has already begun to grow. The still heart is the believing heart, and it is in this stillness that God moves. Stillness is not inactivity, it is inner peace. It is a spirit that no longer panics at what it sees, because it knows what it has accepted within. You may be walking through a storm, but faith will keep your steps steady. You may hear silence in the outer world, but faith knows that things are shifting behind the curtain. The curtain is only temporary, and behind it the divine is arranging all things according to your inner conviction. When you struggle, you are trying to make something happen. When you believe, you rest in the knowing that it already has. This is not blind hope, it is spiritual law. The moment you dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, you have already moved into the world where that reality exists. The outer must follow the inner. That is the agreement between the seen and the unseen. The need to convince others or even convince yourself is a sign that you have not fully entered the state. But when you do, when you shift from hoping to knowing, you will no longer need to speak about it constantly. You will not chase signs, you will become the sign. Your energy will carry the quiet weight of someone who has already received. Faith speaks in stillness. It waits with grace. It does not count the hours, nor does it compare paths. It does not wonder how or when, it simply aligns with the end and allows life to orchestrate the steps. And those steps, often invisible at first, will always lead you to the outcome you accepted within. So enter that stillness now. Lay down the mental noise. Set aside the need to struggle. Choose instead to occupy the place of peace, that place where the prayer is already answered, the healing already done, the door already opened. You do not have to fight for what is already yours. You need only be still and know. Faith is not proven in how much you move, but in how deeply you rest. In that rest, everything begins to unfold. Your focus is sacred. It is the compass of your life. Wherever you direct it, the energy of creation follows. What you constantly observe, entertain, and emotionally dwell upon expands, not because the world is choosing for you, but because your focus is signaling what you accept as real. Your focus determines what God magnifies in your experience. The divine presence within you responds not to your outer activity, but to your inner attention. You may not always control what appears in the outer world, but you always choose what you magnify. Two people can walk through the same situation, and one will find peace while the other finds chaos, because of where they place their gaze. You are not at the mercy of appearances. You are not a victim of the visible. You are a creator in spirit, and creation begins in attention. Divine energy is not random. It does not flow to what you simply wish for once. It flows to what you continually focus on with feeling. If you place your attention on lack, even if you pray for abundance, you will feel more lack. If you focus on fear, even if you speak of faith, your world will reflect fear. Not because God withholds, but because your attention is directing divine energy toward the very thing you do not want. But the moment you shift your gaze inward, toward the presence of God, the I am within, you tap into a power that transforms everything. To focus on God is not to repeat religious words or memorize scripture. It is to remember, moment by moment, that the Creator is not outside of you. It is within you, breathing through you and expressing as your life. When you focus on this truth, your thoughts change, your emotions stabilize, your world begins to bend in the direction of your inner state. What you focus on becomes your atmosphere, and that atmosphere attracts and shapes experience. This is not mysticism, it is law. If you constantly worry, you surround yourself with an energy that invites more reasons to worry. But when your focus is rooted in peace, trust, and the quiet awareness of divine presence, even storms cannot shake you. The key is not to fight your negative thoughts, but to starve them of attention. Starve the fear, starve the doubt, starve the assumptions of failure, and feed the truth. Feed the awareness of who you really are, a vessel of God's own being. The more you feed it with your focus, the more it grows. And what grows within you must eventually express itself without. If you fix your inner gaze on the presence of God, you will find that life begins to feel lighter. You stop looking to others for validation, for answers, or for signs. You stop reacting to appearances and start responding from truth. You move from the shadows of doubt into the clarity of vision. It is not about never being distracted, it is about returning your focus each time you drift. Come back to the center, come back to the I am, the presence that needs no explanation, no proof, no effort, only recognition. And as you recognize it, you begin to reflect it. Your words soften, your choices align, your energy carries the calm certainty of someone who walks with the divine. So guard your focus. It is not a small thing, it is everything. Let the world say what it will. Let circumstances rise and fall. But let your gaze remain fixed, not on the noise, not on the fear, but on the eternal presence within you. That is what God will magnify. That is what life will multiply. Because where your attention goes, divine energy flows, and what you see within, you will surely see without. There is a sacred instruction hidden in the stillness. Be still and you shall know. It is not a suggestion, it is a key. A whisper from the divine reminding you that everything you seek is already here, waiting just beyond your noise, beyond your panic, beyond your reaction. The answers you're chasing, the blessings you're praying for, the guidance you crave, they do not come through frantic effort, they come through inner quiet. Not when you are striving, but when you are trusting. Most people live in reaction. They move from one thought to another, one emotion to the next, tossed about by every shift in the external world. A piece of news changes their mood. A delay shakes their belief. A comment from someone else defines their worth. They are never still, and because of that they do not know. Knowing comes in the silence. It rises when the mind grows quiet and the soul is allowed to speak. In stillness, you hear what the noise of the world drowns out. You begin to sense the gentle movements of divine order, and you realize nothing was ever out of place. Everything was always moving exactly as it needed to. But you could not see it because you were too busy reacting. Stillness is not passivity, it is not laziness, it is not doing nothing, it is the most powerful form of spiritual alignment. In stillness, you are not escaping life, you are stepping fully into it without resistance. You are no longer trying to force what has already been promised. You are allowing the unseen to reveal itself in divine timing. When you are still, you stop chasing signs. You stop asking the same questions over and over. You stop pleading for evidence. You begin to walk with the kind of confidence that only comes from a deep inner knowing, not a surface level hope, but a soul level truth. You know that what you have accepted within must unfold without. You know that the delay is never punishment but preparation. Stillness teaches you trust. Not the kind of trust that needs to be constantly reassured, but the kind that rests. The kind that says, even if I cannot see it yet, I know it is working. This trust does not come from seeing results. It comes from becoming aligned with the source that creates results. And that alignment is only possible when you are still. You may think you need to do more, to fix everything, to explain yourself, to make others understand. But the truth is, most of what you are trying to solve will unravel on its own the moment you stop interfering. When you no longer react to every fear, every delay, every voice of doubt, you make space for divine wisdom to rise and show you a better way. You cannot hear it when you're shouting. You cannot feel it when you're frantic, but it has never left you. Stillness allows you to see that you were never waiting on the world to move. The world was waiting on you to be still, to trust the unseen, to walk by faith and not by sight, to sit quietly with your desire and say, it is done, without needing proof. That stillness is not weakness, it is power in its purest form. You don't need to figure it all out. You only need to quiet down and listen. Every answer will come. Every blessing will unfold. Every path will clear. But not because you forced it, because you aligned with it. Because you chose to trust rather than panic. Because you knew the divine lives in the still space between your thoughts. So be still, not just in body, but in mind, in spirit, in expectation. And you shall know. Know the truth, know the way, know the presence of God moving through your life, and that knowing will become your peace, your strength, and your unshakable foundation. In a world that urges you to act, to speak, to chase, and to prove, remember this: the most profound power moves in stillness. The divine does not need your struggle, it responds to your trust. Focus on God. Humble yourself, and stay silent, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to align with something far greater than yourself. You don't need to shout to be heard by the heavens. You don't need to chase what's already yours in spirit. Be still. Trust the presence within. Where your gaze rests, God magnifies. What you surrender in faith returns in fulfillment. Let your silence speak. Let your humility rise. Let your focus become a prayer. Thank you for listening with an open heart. May these words become a quiet strength within you, guiding your steps with grace, power, and divine clarity.
Ladies and gentlemen, we often believe that peace is something to be gained, something outside ourselves waiting to be found. Yet I stand before you today to remind you that peace is not something to be achieved, but something to be realized. It's already within you, patiently waiting to be unveiled, waiting for you to clear away the debris that blocks it from flowing freely. The concept that your inner world shapes your outer reality is an age-old truth, yet often overlooked in the rush of everyday life. At the core of this idea is the understanding that our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not merely passive states of being, they are the creative force behind the circumstances we experience. It suggests that everything you see in your external world, from your relationships to your successes and challenges, is a direct reflection of what is happening within you. When we talk about the inner world, we are referring to the realm of your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and expectations. This inner world operates much like a mirror. If you cultivate thoughts of abundance, love, and peace, you will find those qualities reflected back to you in your external circumstances. Conversely, if your inner dialogue is filled with negativity, fear, or doubt, you will find yourself surrounded by challenges, setbacks, and conflict. Consider the simple example of waking up in the morning and feeling stressed or anxious. You might notice that on days when you begin with negative thoughts or dread, everything seems to go wrong. You hit traffic, you argue with a colleague, or something unexpected throws off your plans. The events themselves are neutral, but your perception of them becomes colored by your inner state. It feels as though the world is working against you, when in fact, your inner world has created a lens through which everything is seen in a negative light. On the other hand, when you wake up feeling grateful, confident, and at ease, your day often unfolds in a more harmonious way. Even when challenges arise, you handle them with a calm mindset. You find solutions easily, and you attract helpful people or situations. This is the power of the inner world manifesting itself outwardly. It's not that life has no challenges, but your inner world determines how you navigate and ultimately shape your reality. One of the key principles behind this idea is that thoughts are creative. Every thought you think sends out a frequency, and this frequency attracts corresponding experiences into your life. This is often referred to as the law of attraction, but more fundamentally, it's about the way your thoughts and beliefs create the framework through which you perceive and interact with the world. If you believe that life is a struggle, your mind will unconsciously seek out situations that confirm this belief. On the contrary, if you believe that life is full of opportunities, you will find them everywhere. Changing your outer reality then requires a conscious shift in your inner world. It's easy to get caught up in the external conditions, blaming them for your discontent or frustration. But the real power lies in recognizing that it is your inner state that holds the key to transformation. If you want peace, abundance, and joy in your external world, you must first cultivate these qualities within. This is why practices such as meditation, visualization, and affirmations are so powerful. They train your mind to focus on what you want to experience, rather than what you fear or want to avoid. The process of shaping your outer reality begins with self-awareness. You must become aware of the thoughts and beliefs that dominate your mind on a daily basis. Many people operate on autopilot, allowing old patterns of fear, doubt, and limitation to guide their thinking. These mental habits create the same results over and over again, leading to frustration and the belief that change is impossible. But the truth is, by changing your inner dialogue, you change your outer reality. You are the creator of your life experience, whether you realize it or not. Every moment offers you a choice to shape your inner world in a way that serves you. By choosing thoughts of love, gratitude, and abundance, you align yourself with a reality that reflects these qualities back to you. Life doesn't happen to you, it responds to you. The moment you realize that your inner world is the architect of your reality, you step into the true power of creation. Everything you need to live a life of peace, fulfillment, and abundance is already within you, waiting to be consciously shaped and expressed outwardly. Limiting beliefs are like invisible chains that bind us, keeping us stuck in patterns of thought and behavior that prevent us from realizing our full potential. These beliefs are often deeply ingrained, passed down from family, society, or personal experiences, and they shape how we view ourselves and what we believe is possible. The trouble is, most of us aren't even fully aware of the limiting beliefs that are guiding our lives. We accept them as truths, when in reality they are just perceptions we've picked up along the way. To live a truly fulfilled life, you must stop identifying with these limiting beliefs. One of the most common limiting beliefs is the idea that I'm not enough. This belief can manifest in various ways. I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not worthy enough, and so on. When you internalize this belief, it colors everything you do. You may shy away from new opportunities, believing you're not capable, or you may settle for less in relationships, thinking you don't deserve better. The belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You unconsciously create situations that confirm your belief, reinforcing the idea that you're not enough. But the truth is, these beliefs are not rooted in reality. They are rooted in fear, self-doubt, and past experiences. The first step in breaking free from limiting beliefs is recognizing them. Often, limiting beliefs hide in the background, influencing decisions without us realizing it. Pay attention to the thoughts that arise when you're faced with challenges or opportunities. Do you tell yourself, I can't do this, or this isn't for people like me? These are clues that a limiting belief is at play. Once you've identified a limiting belief, question its validity. Where did this belief come from? Is it based on actual facts, or is it something you've come to accept without examining it? Many of these beliefs are inherited. Perhaps your parents or teachers told you, either directly or indirectly, that you weren't capable in some way. Or maybe you failed at something early in life, and since then, you've carried the belief that failure is a reflection of your worth. While these experiences shape our worldview, they are not the final word on who we are or what we can achieve. You have the power to rewrite the script and let go of beliefs that no longer serve you. It's important to understand that beliefs are not set in stone, they are malleable. When you realize that your beliefs are simply thoughts you've repeated over time, you begin to see that you have the power to choose new thoughts and create new beliefs. Start by replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones. For example, instead of saying, I'm not good enough, try saying, I am capable and deserving of success. It may feel strange at first, especially if the limiting belief has been with you for a long time, but over time the new belief will take root. The process of changing limiting beliefs requires patience and self-compassion. These beliefs have often been part of your identity for years, and it can be uncomfortable to let them go. You may even experience resistance as your mind clings to what is familiar. But remember, your beliefs are not your identity. They are simply constructs of the mind that can be altered. As you begin to detach from limiting beliefs, you'll notice a shift in how you approach life. Opportunities that once seemed out of reach will begin to feel possible. You'll take more risks, pursue your passions, and approach challenges with confidence. Breaking free from limiting beliefs also involves letting go of the need for external validation. Many of us hold on to these beliefs because they've been reinforced by others. We crave approval and avoid taking risks because we fear rejection or failure. But living a life dictated by the expectations of others only strengthens limiting beliefs. When you stop seeking validation from others and start trusting in your own worth and abilities, you break the cycle of limitation. The only thing standing between you and your highest potential is your own belief system. By identifying and releasing limiting beliefs, you create the space for new possibilities and opportunities to emerge. You are not defined by the past or by the opinions of others. The power to create your reality lies within you, and it begins by choosing to believe in your limitless potential. Stop identifying with the beliefs that hold you back, and embrace the truth that you are capable, worthy, and enough just as you are. The need to control is one of the most pervasive and deeply ingrained tendencies in human nature. We seek control over our circumstances, relationships, and even our emotions, believing that by doing so, we can guarantee our happiness, success, or security. Yet, the harder we try to control, the more elusive peace becomes. Control is an illusion, and clinging to it leads to frustration, anxiety, and disappointment. To truly experience freedom and inner peace, it is essential to surrender the need to control. At the heart of our desire to control is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. We mistakenly believe that if we can just manage every aspect of our lives, we can prevent negative outcomes. But life is unpredictable, and no matter how much effort we put into controlling things, the unexpected will always happen. By trying to micromanage life, we set ourselves up for constant disappointment. We become rigid, resistant to change, and overly focused on outcomes, often missing the beauty of the present moment. Surrendering control doesn't mean becoming passive or giving up on your desires and goals. It means letting go of the need to dictate how everything unfolds. It's about trusting that things will work out as they should, even if the path looks different from what you envisioned. When you stop trying to control every detail, you allow life to flow naturally, often bringing about outcomes far better than anything you could have planned. One of the key areas where people often struggle with control is in relationships. We want others to behave in ways that meet our expectations, and when they don't, it creates tension and conflict. But attempting to control another person's actions, thoughts, or feelings is not only futile, it's damaging to the relationship. True connection comes from accepting others as they are and recognizing that they have their own path, separate from ours. When you let go of the need to control others, you create space for authenticity, growth, and deeper connection. The same principle applies to situations and outcomes. Many people become fixated on a particular result, whether it's achieving a career goal, obtaining a certain level of wealth, or reaching a milestone in their personal lives. While having goals is important, becoming overly attached to how and when those goals manifest can lead to unnecessary stress and frustration. Life rarely moves in a straight line, and sometimes the detours are the very things that lead to greater success or fulfillment. By surrendering your need to control the outcome, you open yourself to possibilities you hadn't considered, allowing life to surprise you in positive ways. A crucial part of surrendering control is cultivating trust in yourself, in the process, and in life itself. When you trust that things will work out as they should, you can relax into the present moment rather than obsessively planning for the future. This doesn't mean you stop making efforts or setting intentions. Rather, you release the attachment to how things should happen. You do your best and then let go, trusting that whatever unfolds is in your best interest, even if it doesn't look like it at first. Another benefit of letting go of control is that it reduces anxiety. Much of our anxiety comes from worrying about things we cannot control, whether it's the behavior of others, unforeseen circumstances, or future events. When you accept that some things are beyond your control, you free yourself from the constant need to fix, manage, or anticipate every possible outcome. This shift allows you to experience life with more ease and presence, focusing your energy on what you can control: your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Surrendering control also opens the door to inner peace. The constant need to control creates a state of inner conflict, where you are always fighting against the natural flow of life. When you release that need, you align yourself with the present moment, where true peace resides. You stop resisting what is and start embracing what could be, allowing life to unfold with more grace and harmony. Surrendering the need to control is not about giving up, it's about letting go of the illusion that you can control everything. It's about trusting life and allowing it to flow in its own perfect way. When you release the need to control, you find that life becomes more enjoyable, relationships more fulfilling, and your inner world more peaceful. You begin to understand that surrender is not a sign of weakness, but an act of great strength and wisdom. Through surrender, you step into a life of freedom, peace, and limitless possibilities. Dwelling on the past is a habit that many people find hard to break. We often revisit old memories, relive past mistakes, or cling to moments that have long since passed, believing that by doing so, we can somehow change or make sense of them. Yet, the more we fixate on the past, the more we disconnect from the present and the opportunities it holds. The habit of dwelling on what has already happened is not only unproductive, it can be emotionally draining and limit our ability to grow and move forward. One of the main reasons people dwell on the past is the feeling of unresolved pain or regret. We may replay moments where we felt wronged, embarrassed, or made decisions we now view as mistakes. The mind, in its attempt to process these events, can become stuck in a loop, replaying scenarios and questioning what if. What if I had done things differently? What if I had made a better choice? What if things had turned out another way? However, no amount of reflection can change what has already occurred. By continually going over past events, we trap ourselves in a cycle of rumination that prevents us from experiencing peace in the present. Moreover, holding on to past hurts can weigh heavily on your emotional state. Each time you relive a painful memory, your body reacts as if the event is happening all over again, flooding you with the same emotions of sadness, anger, or guilt. Over time, this can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. Dwelling on the past keeps you tethered to negative emotions and prevents you from healing. To break free from this habit, it's crucial to recognize that the past cannot be changed. It can only be learned from and accepted. Acceptance is key to ending the habit of dwelling on the past. Acceptance does not mean condoning or excusing past events, but rather acknowledging that what happened is part of your life's journey. Every experience, whether good or bad, has contributed to who you are today. Instead of seeing past events as mistakes or missed opportunities, you can choose to see them as lessons that have shaped your understanding of life and yourself. This shift in perspective allows you to let go of the need to change the past and focus instead on how you can grow from it. Forgiveness is another essential element in letting go of the past. Whether it's forgiving yourself or others, holding on to grudges, or self-blame only prolongs your attachment to the past. By forgiving, you free yourself from the emotional burden of resentment and guilt. Forgiveness is not about forgetting or excusing wrongs, but about releasing the hold those memories have over you. It's about giving yourself permission to move on and reclaim your emotional freedom. Another way to stop dwelling on the past is to focus on the present moment. When you live fully in the present, there is little room for ruminating over what has already happened. Mindfulness practices such as meditation, deep breathing, or simply paying attention to your surroundings can help anchor you in the now. By being present, you allow yourself to experience life as it is, rather than through the lens of the past. This practice helps you appreciate what you have in the current moment and opens you up to new possibilities. It's important to create new memories and experiences that propel you forward. When we dwell on the past, we often feel stuck in a stagnant state, as if nothing will ever change. Actively seeking out new experiences, setting goals, or even engaging in creative activities can shift your focus from the past to the future. By doing this, you remind yourself that life is full of new opportunities for joy, learning, and connection. The past becomes less significant when you fill your life with meaning and purpose in the present. It's crucial to be kind to yourself in this process. Breaking the habit of dwelling on the past doesn't happen overnight, and it's normal to slip into old patterns from time to time. When this happens, resist the urge to be self-critical. Instead, gently remind yourself that you are no longer defined by the past, and that your power lies in the choices you make today. Self-compassion allows you to move forward with grace, without being weighed down by judgment or regret. Ending the habit of dwelling on the past is a transformative step toward living a more peaceful and fulfilling life. The past, with all its memories and emotions, is a part of you, but it does not have to define your present or future. By accepting what has happened, practicing forgiveness, focusing on the present, and creating new experiences, you can release the hold the past has on you. In doing so, you open yourself up to the limitless possibilities that exist in the here and now. The inner critic is that nagging voice inside your head that constantly questions your worth, abilities, and decisions. It's the part of you that magnifies your mistakes, amplifies your insecurities, and creates a narrative that can be both harsh and unrelenting. While it's natural to experience self-doubt from time to time, allowing this inner critic to dominate your thoughts can be detrimental to your mental health and overall well-being. Learning to silence this voice is essential for fostering self-compassion, confidence, and a more fulfilling life. The inner critic often stems from various influences, including childhood experiences, societal expectations, and personal insecurities. It can take many forms, such as perfectionism, comparison to others, or fear of failure. This inner dialogue may tell you that you're not smart enough, talented enough, or deserving of happiness. Such thoughts create a cycle of negativity that can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, and even depression. The more you listen to this critical voice, the more you become trapped in a limiting mindset that prevents you from pursuing your goals and dreams. The first step in silencing the inner critic is awareness. Pay attention to your self-talk throughout the day. What messages are you sending to yourself? Are they constructive or destructive? Many people operate on autopilot, allowing negative self-talk to dictate their emotions and actions without questioning its validity. When you become aware of this inner dialogue, you can begin to challenge it. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it based on evidence, or is it simply a reflection of my fears and insecurities? By examining your thoughts critically, you can start to distinguish between helpful feedback and harmful criticism. Once you identify negative thoughts, it's essential to reframe them. This means replacing self-critical thoughts with more compassionate and constructive ones. For example, if your inner critic says, "I always mess things up," reframe it to, "I am learning and growing from my experiences." This shift in perspective allows you to cultivate a more supportive inner dialogue. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, see them as opportunities for growth and learning. By reframing your thoughts, you begin to weaken the power of the inner critic. Another effective strategy for silencing the inner critic is practicing self-compassion. Self-compassion involves treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend. When you make a mistake or face a setback, instead of berating yourself, acknowledge that everyone experiences challenges. Speak to yourself with gentleness and understanding. Remind yourself that imperfection is a part of the human experience. Practicing self-compassion helps to counteract the negative messages from your inner critic and fosters a more positive self-image. Mindfulness is also a powerful tool in silencing the inner critic. By cultivating mindfulness, you learn to observe your thoughts without judgment. Instead of becoming entangled in the critical voice, you can recognize it as just that, a voice, not an absolute truth. Techniques such as meditation, deep breathing, and grounding exercises can help you cultivate mindfulness. When you create space between yourself and your thoughts, you begin to see them for what they are: fleeting, not definitive. This allows you to detach from the inner critic's negativity and focus on the present moment. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is another effective way to silence the inner critic. The people you spend time with can greatly impact your self-perception. Seek out those who uplift and inspire you rather than those who contribute to your self-doubt. Engaging with supportive friends or mentors can provide valuable encouragement and perspective. Their positive reinforcement can help drown out the critical voice and remind you of your strengths and capabilities. Consider keeping a journal to track your thoughts and feelings. Writing can be a powerful way to process emotions and gain clarity. Document instances when the inner critic speaks up and explore the underlying beliefs driving those thoughts. By putting your feelings on paper, you can gain insight and distance from the negativity, allowing you to develop a more balanced perspective. Remember that silencing the inner critic is an ongoing process. It takes time and practice to shift your mindset, and setbacks may occur along the way. Be patient with yourself as you navigate this journey. Celebrate small victories and recognize that progress is not always linear. The goal is not to eliminate the inner critic entirely, but to reduce its power and influence over your life. Silencing the inner critic is crucial for building self-confidence and fostering a healthier relationship with yourself. By cultivating awareness, reframing negative thoughts, practicing self-compassion, and embracing mindfulness, you can begin to diminish the critic's hold on your life. Surrounding yourself with positive influences and documenting your experiences can also support this journey. Ultimately, learning to silence the inner critic allows you to embrace your true self, pursue your passions, and live a life filled with joy and fulfillment. You are worthy of kindness, understanding, and love, especially from yourself. In a world filled with constant noise, distractions, and external demands, many people find themselves on a relentless quest for peace. We often believe that peace can be found outside ourselves through relationships, possessions, achievements, or even through travel. However, this pursuit of external peace often leads to frustration and disillusionment. True peace is not something that can be acquired from the outside, it must be cultivated from within. Learning to stop seeking peace externally and to foster it internally is essential for achieving lasting tranquility and fulfillment. The quest for external peace often begins with the belief that happiness and serenity are contingent upon specific circumstances. We think, if I just had that job, if I could only find the right partner, or if I could take that vacation, then we would finally experience peace. This mindset places our sense of well-being in the hands of external factors that are often beyond our control. The danger in this is that circumstances are inherently transient. What brings you peace today may be fleeting, leading you to continually chase after the next thing. This cycle creates a perpetual state of dissatisfaction, as the external factors we rely on for peace can shift or vanish at any moment. To break free from this cycle, it's crucial to recognize that true peace is an internal state. It arises from a deep sense of self-acceptance, self-awareness, and inner balance. When you learn to cultivate peace within yourself, external circumstances become less significant in determining your emotional state. This doesn't mean that external situations won't affect you at all. Rather, it means that your response to those situations is no longer dictated by them. You develop resilience and equanimity, allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace. One of the first steps in cultivating internal peace is mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. It allows you to connect with your thoughts, feelings, and sensations in a non-reactive way. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to notice how often your mind wanders to the past or the future, creating unnecessary stress or anxiety. By bringing your awareness back to the present, you create a space for peace to emerge. Simple practices such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, or mindful walking can help anchor you in the here and now, enabling you to cultivate a sense of inner calm. Another essential aspect of finding peace within is letting go of the need for external validation. We often seek approval from others to feel good about ourselves, measuring our worth against their expectations. This reliance on external validation can lead to feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. To find true peace, it's important to cultivate self-acceptance. This means recognizing that you are enough just as you are, without needing to prove your worth to anyone. Embrace your uniqueness, flaws and all. When you learn to value yourself internally, the opinions of others carry far less weight, and you can experience peace regardless of external circumstances. In conclusion, the journey towards inner peace and self-acceptance is a transformative process that requires patience, practice, and a willingness to let go of external influences. By silencing the inner critic, stopping the habit of dwelling on the past, surrendering the need to control, and ceasing the search for peace outside ourselves, we can cultivate a deeper sense of fulfillment and joy. Remember, true peace resides within you, waiting to be embraced. Thank you for your attention, and may you find the strength and courage to embark on this empowering journey toward inner tranquility. Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to share a powerful truth. Anything you desire is within your reach. There are no limits to what you can achieve when you understand and apply certain principles that govern the universe. These principles are not mystical, they are laws, and when you align with them, you unlock the power to create your reality. Imagination is the most powerful tool we possess in shaping our lives and achieving our desires. It is the creative force that allows us to envision possibilities beyond our current circumstances. What many fail to realize is that imagination is not just idle daydreaming, it is the foundation of everything we experience in our physical world. Everything we see, every invention, every piece of art, every structure, and every life transformation began as a seed in someone's mind. Without imagination, nothing new can come into existence. It is the starting point of all creation, and understanding how to harness it is the key to unlocking the life you truly desire. When you close your eyes and allow yourself to picture your desired reality, you are engaging with a realm that is far more real than you may think. The images you create in your mind, the feelings you stir, and the scenes you vividly imagine are the blueprint of what's to come. It is in this invisible space of the mind where real transformation begins. The truth is, your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. If you want to change your external reality, you must first change the images you hold in your imagination. Think about every great invention or monumental achievement. Take the airplane, for instance. Before it existed in reality, it was first born in the minds of visionaries who dared to imagine something beyond the ordinary. The Wright brothers didn't just randomly stumble upon the ability to fly. They first had to imagine it. They saw themselves soaring above the ground, and they held on to that image despite countless failures and setbacks. Their persistent belief in their imagined reality eventually brought it into the physical world. This principle is not just for inventors or pioneers, it applies to every aspect of your life. Whether you want to achieve success in your career, improve your relationships, or manifest abundance, it all begins with how vividly and consistently you can imagine the life you want. Your imagination is the doorway through which all possibilities flow. What you can see in your mind's eye, you can hold in your hands. The problem many people face is that they don't realize they are already using their imagination every day, but often in negative ways. Worry, fear, and doubt are just as much products of the imagination as hope, confidence, and belief. When you worry, you are imagining a future scenario where things go wrong. You see failure in your mind, and you feel the emotions associated with it. Over time, this negative use of imagination shapes your reality, because the mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real. If you constantly imagine worst-case scenarios, your life will begin to mirror those fears. The key is to take control of your imagination and use it deliberately. Instead of allowing it to run on autopilot, filled with fears and doubts, you must consciously direct it toward your desired outcomes. Close your eyes and see yourself already in possession of what you want. Imagine the joy, the peace, the fulfillment. Feel it as if it's happening now, in this very moment. The more real you can make it in your mind, the more the universe will respond to this inner picture. The beautiful truth about imagination is that it is unlimited. There are no restrictions on what you can imagine. You can travel anywhere, be anyone, and achieve anything within the realm of your mind. This boundless ability to create is what makes imagination so powerful. It is the ultimate tool for designing your life. When you learn to control it, to focus it on what you truly desire, you will find that life begins to shift in profound ways. In this process, it is important to understand that imagination is not bound by time. What you imagine now can unfold in the future. The mind does not operate in linear time, and neither does the process of creation. So even if your current reality seems far from what you are imagining, don't be discouraged. Trust the process. By consistently focusing on the desired outcome in your imagination, you are setting in motion forces that will bring it to fruition. Imagination is the foundation of everything you will ever achieve. It is the first step in transforming your life. Use it wisely, nurture it. and trust that the images you hold in your mind are the seeds of your future reality. By mastering the art of deliberate imagination, you are tapping into the creative power that lies within you, waiting to shape the world according to your deepest desires. Faith in the unseen is one of the most profound principles that governs our ability to achieve what we desire in life. It is a belief in something that has not yet materialized in the physical world, but is nonetheless real and attainable. To most, this might seem illogical. How can you believe in something that you cannot see, touch, or verify with your senses? But that is exactly where the power of faith lies. Faith transcends the need for physical evidence, and instead roots itself in the conviction that the unseen is just as real, if not more so, than the visible. This is the key to unlocking goals, dreams, and desires that currently seem out of reach. The unseen refers to anything that exists beyond the scope of the five senses. It is the realm of possibilities, potential, and creation. Everything that exists in the physical world began in the unseen. It started as an idea, a thought, a vision. Consider the tallest buildings, the fastest machines, the most innovative technologies. They all originated in someone's mind long before they became tangible objects. What bridges the gap between the idea and the manifestation is faith. Faith is the assurance that the unseen will be made visible in due time. It is not a passive hope or wishful thinking. It is an active, living belief that what you are working toward or dreaming of already exists in a higher realm, even if it is not yet apparent in your immediate surroundings. This conviction allows you to move forward with purpose, despite any temporary setbacks or doubts. When you have faith in the unseen, you are not discouraged by the lack of evidence in your present reality, because you understand that what you desire is already on its way to you. One of the greatest challenges people face is the tendency to doubt when there is no visible progress. We live in a world that conditions us to rely on what we can see and measure, but faith requires us to look beyond that. To trust in something you cannot yet see demands a shift in your mindset. You must train yourself to focus on the feeling and the certainty of the outcome, rather than on the absence of it. This shift allows you to operate from a place of inner knowing, where you are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. Imagine a farmer who plants seeds in the soil. After planting, there is no immediate sign of growth. The ground looks the same as it did before. But the farmer does not dig up the seeds every day to check if they are growing. He knows that there is an unseen process happening beneath the surface. He waters the seeds, nurtures them, and continues to care for the soil, trusting that in time the plants will sprout. This is faith in the unseen. Just because he cannot see the growth at first does not mean it is not happening. Likewise, in life, when we set goals or pursue our dreams, there may be periods where nothing seems to be happening. But this is the time when faith is most crucial. You must continue to believe in your desired outcome, even when there are no visible signs of progress. The process of creation happens behind the scenes in the unseen realm and requires time and patience to unfold in the physical world. Faith sustains you during this period, allowing you to keep moving forward even when the results are not immediately evident. Faith in the unseen also teaches you to let go of the need for control. Often we become fixated on how things should happen, when they should happen, and in what manner. But faith asks us to trust that the universe, or whatever higher power you believe in, is orchestrating things perfectly behind the scenes. It reminds us that our job is not to micromanage the process, but to focus on the end result and trust that the path will reveal itself as we go. This surrender is not about giving up. It is about releasing the need to force things into being and allowing them to unfold naturally. Faith brings with it a sense of peace and confidence. When you trust in the unseen, you are no longer thrown off course by temporary difficulties or delays. You remain calm in the face of challenges, because you know that the outer world is catching up to the inner reality you have already created. This inner certainty becomes your anchor, guiding you through uncertain times with grace and assurance. Faith in the unseen is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It is the fuel that powers your journey, the foundation that keeps you grounded, and the light that guides you forward. By cultivating this faith, you align yourself with the natural laws of creation, allowing your desires to move from the realm of the invisible to the realm of the tangible. Living in the end is one of the most powerful principles for achieving your goals and creating the life you desire. It means to mentally, emotionally, and spiritually embody the state of having already achieved your desired outcome, long before it becomes a reality in the physical world. By doing so, you align your inner world with the result you want, and in turn, this inner alignment influences your external circumstances. This principle works because the mind does not distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is real, so by living in the end, you are effectively programming your mind and environment to bring your desired future into existence. The concept of living in the end begins with the understanding that creation happens first within you. Everything you experience in your outer world is a reflection of your inner state of being. If you want to change your life, you must first change how you think, feel, and perceive yourself. Living in the end requires you to mentally place yourself in the position of already having what you seek. Whether it's a new job, a loving relationship, financial success, or better health, you must act, think, and feel as though it is already yours. This is not pretending or wishful thinking, it is a deliberate shift in consciousness. When you live in the end, you are no longer focused on wanting or needing your goal. You have already transcended the feeling of lack or desire, because in your mind it is already accomplished. This mental state is crucial, because when you desire something intensely, you are acknowledging that you don't have it, which keeps you in a state of separation from your goal. By living in the end, you bypass the feelings of want and instead dwell in the feelings of fulfillment and satisfaction, aligning yourself with the frequency of your desired outcome. This shift in focus is what draws your goal toward you. An essential part of living in the end is cultivating the emotions that accompany the achievement of your goal. If your desire is to be successful, how would you feel if you were already successful? If you desire a loving relationship, what emotions would you experience if you were already in that relationship? These feelings, whether they are joy, peace, gratitude, or love, are the key to bridging the gap between your present reality and your desired future. By feeling these emotions in the present, you are energetically attracting the circumstances that match those feelings. One common challenge people face when trying to live in the end is the temptation to look at their current reality and get discouraged. It's easy to say, but this isn't my reality yet. I don't have what I want. However, the essence of this practice is to shift your focus away from what you see and place it firmly on what you know will be. Remember, your current reality is simply the result of your past thoughts and feelings. It does not define your future unless you allow it to. By persistently living in the end, you gradually shift the momentum of your life toward the fulfillment of your desires, regardless of what your present circumstances suggest. Living in the end also requires a certain level of trust and surrender. While it is important to maintain the vision of your desired outcome, you must also let go of the how and when it will happen. The details of how your goal will come into being are not for you to worry about. Trust that the universe or the natural flow of life will arrange the necessary circumstances to bring your desire into reality. When you live in the end, you are not trying to force things to happen, you are allowing them to unfold naturally, because you already feel as though they have occurred. Furthermore, living in the end allows you to take inspired action. When you are mentally and emotionally aligned with your goal, you will naturally start to behave in ways that support its manifestation. You will take steps that feel effortless and guided, rather than actions driven by fear or desperation. These actions will feel aligned with the future you have already envisioned, and they will bring you closer to your desired outcome. This is because your inner state is in harmony with your outer actions, creating a flow that accelerates the manifestation of your goal. Living in the end is not about ignoring reality or denying the present circumstances. It is about choosing to focus on the reality you are creating, rather than the reality you currently see. By doing so, you shift your energy and attention toward the future you want, instead of being anchored by the present conditions that may not yet reflect your desires. This shift in perspective creates a powerful momentum that eventually brings your inner vision into alignment with your outer world. Living in the end is about embodying the mental and emotional state of already having achieved your goal. By thinking, feeling, and acting as if your desire is already a reality, you align yourself with the outcome you want, and you attract the circumstances that will bring it into being. It is a practice of faith, focus, and emotional alignment that can transform your life, allowing you to experience the fulfillment of your dreams. Persistence in thought is a critical element in achieving any goal or desire. It refers to the consistent and unwavering focus on a particular idea, vision, or outcome, despite obstacles, doubts, or external circumstances. The mind is a powerful tool, capable of shaping your reality, but it requires discipline and persistence to direct it effectively. When you hold a clear and persistent focus on your desired outcome, you engage the creative forces within you to bring that vision into existence. However, this process demands more than fleeting thoughts or wishful thinking. It requires a sustained mental effort, regardless of challenges that may arise along the way. The importance of persistence in thought becomes clear when you recognize how easily the mind can become distracted or influenced by negativity. Throughout the day, your mind is bombarded by various thoughts, opinions, and sensory input. Without intentional focus, it can easily stray from your goal, latching onto doubt, fear, or frustration. Persistence is what keeps you anchored to your vision, even when your external circumstances seem to contradict it. It is the ability to continue believing in the possibility of your goal, regardless of temporary setbacks or delays. Many people give up on their dreams because they expect instant results or allow themselves to be swayed by the lack of immediate progress. They start out with enthusiasm, but as time passes without visible success, they begin to question whether their goal is achievable. This wavering in thought weakens their creative power, and soon they abandon the very vision they once held dear. Persistence in thought, however, means holding on to that vision with unwavering conviction, no matter how long it takes. It is the belief that the unseen forces are working behind the scenes, and that your mental focus is actively shaping your reality, even if the results aren't immediately visible. Consider the process of planting a seed. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't see immediate growth. Days, weeks, or even months may pass before you see any signs of life, but you continue to water it and nurture the soil, trusting that growth is happening beneath the surface. Similarly, when you set a goal and focus your thoughts on it, the results may not appear right away. Persistence in thought is like tending to that seed, continuing to nurture your vision, knowing that growth is happening even when you cannot see it. It is this consistent mental effort that ultimately brings about the desired outcome. One of the key aspects of persistence in thought is overcoming doubt. Doubt is the enemy of persistence because it causes you to question your ability to achieve your goal. Doubt may arise from external circumstances, such as setbacks or failures, but it often originates within. Your mind may present you with reasons why your goal is impossible, or why it's taking too long. To persist in thought, you must recognize doubt as a temporary state of mind and refuse to let it derail you. This requires a strong belief in your own power to create and a deep trust in the process. Another challenge to persistence in thought is the presence of conflicting thoughts. You may hold a desire for success, for example, but if you constantly entertain thoughts of failure or fear, you are sending mixed signals to your subconscious mind. These conflicting thoughts can dilute your focus and slow down the manifestation of your goal. To be persistent in thought, you must maintain clarity and consistency in your thinking. This means regularly affirming your desired outcome and actively rejecting any thoughts that contradict it. The more consistently you can hold your focus, the faster your goal will materialize. Persistence in thought also requires patience. In today's fast-paced world, people often expect quick results. When things don't happen immediately, they become discouraged and give up. However, the process of creation is not always instant. It takes time for your thoughts and energy to align with the physical world. By remaining patient and continuing to focus on your goal, you allow the natural process of manifestation to unfold. Patience, combined with persistent focus, ensures that you stay on course, even when the journey takes longer than expected. Moreover, persistence in thought cultivates resilience. When you are able to maintain your focus despite challenges, you develop a sense of inner strength and determination. This resilience carries over into other areas of your life, making you more capable of handling adversity. So each time you persist through difficulty, you reinforce your belief in your own power to create your reality. This belief strengthens your focus and brings you closer to your desired outcome. Persistence in thought is a vital component of achieving any goal. It requires discipline, patience, and unwavering belief in your ability to create the reality you desire. By maintaining a clear and consistent focus on your goal, and by resisting doubt and negativity, you align yourself with the creative forces necessary to bring your vision into being. Just as a seed grows with consistent care, your goals will come to fruition when you nurture them with persistent thought, allowing them to manifest in their own time. Detachment from the how is an essential aspect of manifesting your desires and achieving your goals. It means releasing the need to control or dictate the specific way in which your desired outcome will unfold. While having a clear vision of what you want is important, obsessing over the details of how it will happen can create unnecessary stress, anxiety, and resistance. When you detach from the how, you open yourself up to possibilities that may be far greater or more efficient than anything you could have planned. By trusting in the natural flow of life, you allow your desires to manifest in ways that you may not have anticipated, yet are perfectly aligned with your ultimate goal. Many people get stuck in the how because they feel they need to micromanage every step of the process. This often stems from a belief that if they don't control the path, things might not work out as they hope. However, this need for control can become a source of frustration and doubt, especially when progress doesn't seem to happen according to their expectations. Detachment is not about giving up on your goal. It's about understanding that the universe, or the natural order of life, often has a more efficient, creative, or surprising way to bring about your desired result. By focusing too much on the specific means by which your goal must be achieved, you limit the potential for unexpected opportunities and solutions to present themselves. One of the keys to detaching from the how is to focus on the end result and cultivate a sense of trust. The role of your mind is to clearly define what it is you want, to feel the emotions associated with already having it, and to maintain a positive and expectant attitude. However, the specifics of how your desire will come to fruition are not for you to worry about. By trusting that the path will be revealed in time, you allow the process to unfold naturally. Trust is the bridge between desire and manifestation. It allows you to relax and release any tension or anxiety about when or how your goal will come into being. When you detach from the how, you also cultivate a sense of openness. Instead of clinging to one particular method or outcome, you remain flexible and willing to adapt to whatever path presents itself. This openness invites serendipity and synchronicity into your life. Opportunities may arise that you never would have considered, or doors may open that lead you in an unexpected direction toward your goal. See, this is because when you release your tight grip on the process, you make space for the universe to work in ways that are beyond your current level of understanding. Detachment from the how also allows you to move through life with greater ease and flow. When you are overly focused on trying to figure out each step of the process, you create mental and emotional resistance. This resistance often takes the form of stress, frustration, or even burnout as you try to force things to happen in a specific way or time frame. However, when you detach from the need to control every aspect of the process, you free yourself from this burden. You can continue to take inspired action toward your goal, but without the pressure of needing everything to unfold exactly as you've envisioned. Another important aspect of detaching from the how is letting go of timelines. Often people become fixated on when their goal will manifest. They set arbitrary deadlines and become discouraged when things don't happen according to their schedule. However, the timing of your manifestation is not something you can always control. The universe operates on its own schedule, and sometimes things need to align in ways that are not immediately apparent. By letting go of the need for everything to happen in a certain time frame, you allow the process to unfold in its own perfect timing. This doesn't mean you stop working toward your goal, rather, it means that you remain patient and trusting, knowing that the timing will be right when it happens. Detachment from the how also reduces the mental clutter that can block your creativity and intuition. When you are too focused on controlling the process, your mind becomes filled with worry, fear, and endless planning. This mental noise can drown out your intuition and prevent you from recognizing opportunities that may be right in front of you. By letting go of the need to figure out every detail, you create mental space for clarity and insight to emerge. Often, the best ideas and solutions come when you least expect them, when your mind is relaxed and open. Ultimately, detachment from the how is about trusting the bigger picture. It is the understanding that life often has a way of unfolding in ways that exceed our expectations. While you may have a plan, life might have an even better one. By focusing on the end result and trusting in the process, you free yourself from the need to control every step and allow yourself to be guided toward your desired outcome. This level of trust and surrender doesn't diminish your power, it enhances it. When you let go of the how, you are allowing the universe to work with you, bringing you the opportunities, resources, and circumstances that will lead to the fulfillment of your goal in the most perfect and harmonious way possible. Gratitude for the fulfillment of desires is a transformative practice that not only enhances your emotional well-being, but also accelerates the manifestation of your goals. This principle is rooted in the understanding that gratitude acts as a powerful magnet, attracting more of what you appreciate into your life. When you express gratitude for what you have and what you desire as though it has already been fulfilled, you align yourself with the energy of abundance. This alignment opens the door for even greater blessings and opportunities to flow into your experience. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. In our daily lives, it is easy to become fixated on what we do not have or what is not working. This mindset can lead to feelings of frustration, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. However, when you consciously choose to focus on what you are grateful for, you begin to recognize the richness that already exists in your life. This shift in perspective fosters a sense of contentment and fulfillment, regardless of your current circumstances. It reminds you that you are already surrounded by abundance and that there is much to appreciate. Practicing gratitude for fulfillment involves a proactive approach to acknowledging both your current blessings and your future desires. It requires you to cultivate a sense of appreciation for the things you wish to manifest, as if they are already part of your reality. For instance, if you desire financial abundance, you can express gratitude for the money you currently have, while also thanking the universe for the increased wealth that is on its way to you. By embodying this sense of gratitude, you send a powerful message to the universe that you are open to receiving and worthy of abundance. This practice also taps into the emotional state associated with fulfillment. When you feel grateful, you are likely to experience emotions such as joy, love, and contentment. These elevated feelings resonate at a higher frequency, which attracts more positive experiences into your life. The energy of gratitude creates a vibrational alignment with your desires, making it easier for them to manifest. It helps you cultivate a mindset that is receptive to opportunities, allowing you to notice and act upon the signs and synchronicities that guide you toward your goals. One of the key benefits of expressing gratitude for fulfillment is that it fosters resilience during challenging times. Life is filled with ups and downs, and when faced with obstacles, it can be easy to lose sight of your goals. However, gratitude serves as a stabilizing force, reminding you of the progress you have made and the blessings that surround you. In moments of difficulty, reflecting on what you are grateful for can provide the motivation and clarity needed to keep moving forward. It reinforces the belief that challenges are often temporary and that your dreams are still attainable. To integrate gratitude for fulfillment into your daily life, consider keeping a gratitude journal. Each day, take a moment to write down 3 to 5 things you are grateful for, focusing not only on what you have, but also on what you desire. Imagine that you have already received these desires and write as if they are your current reality. For example, instead of simply stating, "I am grateful for my health," you could express, "I am deeply grateful for my vibrant health and the energy that fills my life each day." This practice not only strengthens your connection to gratitude, but also reinforces your belief in the fulfillment of your desires. Another powerful way to cultivate gratitude is through visualization. Spend time each day visualizing your desires as if they have already been achieved. While doing this, evoke the feelings of gratitude and joy associated with that fulfillment. Imagine how your life will change, the people you will share it with, and the experiences you will have. This practice not only enhances your emotional connection to your goals, but also aligns your subconscious mind with the reality you wish to create. Moreover, expressing gratitude in your daily interactions can further amplify its effects. Acknowledge the contributions of others in your life, whether it's a friend, family member, or colleague. A simple thank you can go a long way in fostering positive relationships and creating a supportive environment. When you express gratitude toward others, you not only uplift them but also reinforce your own feelings of abundance and fulfillment. For fulfillment is ultimately about creating a positive feedback loop. The more you express gratitude for what you have and what you desire, the more abundance flows into your life. This practice cultivates a mindset of appreciation, allowing you to see the opportunities and blessings that surround you. It empowers you to remain optimistic and open, even in the face of challenges, and strengthens your belief in the realization of your dreams. Gratitude for the fulfillment of your desires is a powerful practice that can transform your life. By focusing on the abundance that already exists and expressing appreciation for your future desires as if they are already realized, you align yourself with the energy of manifestation. This practice enhances your emotional state, fosters resilience, and opens the door for even greater blessings to flow into your experience. As you cultivate a mindset of gratitude, you empower yourself to create the life you truly desire, filled with joy, abundance, and fulfillment. In conclusion, the journey to achieving your goals is deeply intertwined with the principles of imagination, faith, persistence, detachment, and gratitude. By harnessing the power of your thoughts and emotions, you can create a compelling vision of the life you desire and align yourself with the energies that will bring it into being. Remember that each step you take, whether it's living in the end, remaining persistent, or expressing gratitude for your fulfillment, plays a crucial role in manifesting your dreams. Trust the process, stay open to possibilities, and allow the universe to guide you on this transformative journey. Thank you for your time and attention, and I wish you all the success and fulfillment in your endeavors. We live in a world where every thought, every word, every gesture contributes to the tapestry of our shared reality. What you say, what you do, and perhaps most critically, what you don't say, all create a ripple that touches lives far beyond your own. Today, I'm here to remind you of something fundamental: your silence is killing them. Words are far more than mere symbols or sounds. They are the creative force that shapes the very fabric of our reality. Every word we utter carries with it the power to build or to destroy, to heal or to harm. This isn't just a metaphorical idea, it is a deep, fundamental truth that governs how we interact with the world and each other. Whether we are aware of it or not, our words are constantly influencing the lives of those around us and even our own lives. We often underestimate the power of words because they seem so fleeting, so intangible. Once spoken, they disappear into the air, their physical presence gone in an instant. But their impact remains, lingering long after the sound has faded. Words are not just the vehicle for expressing thoughts and feelings, they are the very tools by which we create reality. Think for a moment about how words have shaped your own life. A single encouraging sentence from a teacher or a friend may have altered your path, giving you the confidence to pursue a dream you might have abandoned. Similarly, a harsh or careless remark can leave scars that last a lifetime, making you question your worth or your abilities. The power of words lies not only in what is said, but in how it is said. Tone, inflection, and intention all play a role in how words are received and internalized. Even words spoken without malice can wound if delivered with indifference or coldness. Conversely, words of love and kindness can uplift even in moments of deep despair. Our words carry an energy that can be felt beyond their literal meaning, and it is that energy which determines the impact they will have on the listener. This is why words are so powerful. They have the ability to shape perceptions, influence emotions, and ultimately determine actions. When we speak, we are not just describing reality, we are actively participating in its creation. The stories we tell ourselves and others become the lens through which we view the world. If we consistently speak words of defeat, pessimism, or limitation, we begin to see a world filled with those same qualities. On the other hand, if we speak words of hope, possibility, and encouragement, we start to notice the opportunities that exist all around us. It is important to recognize that words do not only affect the external world, they also shape our internal world. The conversations we have with ourselves are perhaps the most important of all. The words we repeat in our minds form the basis of our self-perception. Negative self-talk can trap us in cycles of doubt and fear, convincing us that we are incapable or unworthy. But just as easily, we can choose to speak words of affirmation and self-love, which have the power to transform our mindset and in turn our lives. This is why it is so crucial to be mindful of the words we use, not only with others but also with ourselves. Words are seeds that once planted will grow into the reality we experience. If we plant seeds of bitterness, anger, or resentment, we will harvest a life filled with those emotions. But if we plant seeds of kindness, gratitude, and compassion, we will reap a life filled with joy, love, and fulfillment. One of the most profound examples of the power of words can be seen in how they are used to influence groups and societies. Throughout history, leaders have used words to inspire revolutions, to ignite change, or to maintain control. A speech delivered at the right moment, with the right words, has the potential to mobilize entire populations. Think of the speeches that have moved you, words that made you feel part of something greater, words that made you believe change was possible. These moments are not rare, they happen every day, in small conversations and grand speeches alike. The right words, spoken at the right time, can shift the course of history. But just as words can inspire greatness, they can also be used as weapons. Words of hate, division, and intolerance can sow discord, creating rifts that may take generations to heal. It is for this reason that we must wield our words with care. The ability to communicate is one of the most powerful gifts we possess, and with that power comes great responsibility. To speak is to create. We are constantly shaping the world, brick by brick, with the words we use. So we must ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to build? Do we want to create a world where love, kindness, and understanding prevail? Or do we want to contribute to a world filled with fear, anger, and division? The choice is ours, and it is made with every word we speak. Is the fundamental force that shapes the reality we experience. It may not seem obvious at first glance, but our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions determine the world around us in ways both subtle and profound. The way we interpret events, the assumptions we hold, and the beliefs we internalize all influence the way reality unfolds in our lives. This principle that consciousness creates reality is not just a philosophical concept. It is a universal law that governs our existence. At its core, consciousness is the awareness we have of ourselves and the world. It encompasses not only our thoughts, but also our emotions, intentions, and beliefs. Everything we think and feel sends out ripples into the universe, setting into motion events and experiences that reflect our internal state. In this sense, reality is not something that happens to us. It is something we co-create with every thought we entertain and every belief we accept. Consider for a moment how two people can experience the same event in completely different ways. One might see an obstacle and feel defeated, believing that the world is against them. The other might see the same obstacle and view it as an opportunity for growth, believing that challenges are meant to be overcome. Though both individuals faced the same external situation, their internal realities shaped how they interpreted and responded to it. In time, these differences in perception will lead to very different outcomes in their lives. The person who views challenges with optimism will likely find opportunities for success and growth, while the person who feels defeated may become stuck, unable to move forward. This illustrates a key point: our consciousness doesn't just passively reflect reality, it actively molds it. What we hold in our minds shapes what we attract into our lives. If we constantly dwell on fear, lack, or limitation, we are likely to experience situations that reinforce those feelings. Conversely, if we focus on abundance, love, and possibility, we begin to see evidence of those qualities manifesting in our lives. This is not a matter of wishful thinking, but a natural law of the universe. Our consciousness acts as a magnet, drawing to us experiences that match our dominant thoughts and emotions. The connection between consciousness and reality becomes even clearer when we examine the role of belief. Beliefs are deeply held convictions about the nature of the world and our place within it. These beliefs, whether conscious or unconscious, form the blueprint for our reality. If you believe that you are unworthy of success, that belief will manifest in your actions, your decisions, and ultimately your outcomes. You may unconsciously sabotage opportunities or shy away from challenges that could lead to growth. On the other hand, if you believe you are deserving of success, you will approach life with a sense of confidence and expectation, attracting experiences that align with that belief. The power of consciousness is not limited to individual experience. It also extends to collective realities. Entire societies are shaped by shared beliefs and perceptions. Cultural norms, values, and collective assumptions about what is possible create the framework for the reality experienced by those within the society. When enough people believe in a certain way of life, it becomes the accepted reality. This is why shifts in collective consciousness, such as movements for social change, can lead to dramatic transformations in the world. As the consciousness of the collective evolves, so too does the reality that the society experiences. It's important to recognize that we are not powerless in the face of external circumstances. We often feel as though life is something that happens to us, as if we are merely reacting to forces beyond our control. But when we understand that our consciousness is a co-creator of reality, we realize that we have far more influence than we might have thought. By changing our thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes, we can begin to change the reality we experience. This isn't to say that we can control every external event or circumstance. Challenges, hardships, and unexpected situations are a part of life. However, we do have control over how we respond to these situations. Our consciousness determines whether we view these experiences as insurmountable problems or as opportunities for growth and transformation. It is our internal world that shapes how we engage with the external world and ultimately how we navigate through life's challenges. The principle that consciousness creates reality calls us to take responsibility for our inner world. It asks us to become aware of our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and to recognize the impact they have on our external experience. It invites us to see ourselves as active participants in the unfolding of our lives, rather than passive recipients of whatever fate delivers. By consciously choosing to focus on positive, empowering, and expansive thoughts, we begin to shape a reality that reflects those qualities. Consciousness is the key to unlocking the life we desire. It is the creative force through which we sculpt our world, one thought and one belief at a time. When we understand and embrace this truth, we step into our power as creators of our own reality. Awareness is one of the most profound gifts we possess as human beings. It is through awareness that we perceive the world, understand the experiences of others, and come to know ourselves. But awareness is not a passive state, it comes with great responsibility. To be aware is to have a deeper understanding of the complexities of life, to see both the beauty and the suffering that exist around us. Once we become aware, we cannot simply turn a blind eye to the struggles and injustices we encounter. The responsibility of awareness is to act, to take meaningful steps to make the world a better place. The first layer of responsibility that comes with awareness is the recognition of truth. In a world filled with distractions, misinformation and superficiality, developing awareness allows us to cut through the noise and see things as they truly are. Whether it is recognizing the social injustices that persist, the environmental crises that threaten the planet, or the personal struggles of those around us, awareness shines a light on what is real and what demands our attention. Once we become aware of these realities, we can no longer claim ignorance. There is a moral obligation to acknowledge the truth and, more importantly, to act on it. Awareness also involves understanding the impact of our actions or inactions on the world. Every decision we make, no matter how small, ripples outward and affects the lives of others. This is especially true in our interconnected world, where the consequences of our choices can have far-reaching effects. When we become aware of how our lifestyles, habits, and decisions impact others, whether it's the products we buy, the way we treat people, or the causes we support, we are faced with the responsibility to make conscious choices. Awareness reveals the interconnectedness of all life, and with that realization comes the duty to ensure that our actions contribute to the well-being of others rather than their harm. The responsibility of awareness extends to recognizing suffering and injustice. Once we become aware of suffering, whether on a personal, community, or global level, we are called to respond. It can be easy to ignore the struggles of others when we feel they do not directly affect us. But true awareness reveals that the suffering of one person or group impacts the whole of humanity. To be aware is to understand that we are all interconnected, and the pain of others diminishes our shared human experience. With this understanding, we cannot stand idly by in the face of injustice. We have a responsibility to use our awareness to advocate for change, to lend our voices to the voiceless, and to take action where we can. Does not mean that we must solve every problem or that we are individually responsible for all the world's ills. However, it does mean that once we are aware, we must do what we can, where we can. Even small actions can make a difference. Speaking out against injustice, offering kindness and support to those in need, and making choices that are aligned with compassion and fairness, all of these actions are part of fulfilling the responsibility that comes with awareness. No one person can change the world alone, but each of us can contribute to the larger movement toward a more just and compassionate world. Awareness also brings with it the responsibility to grow and learn continuously. As we become more aware, we begin to realize how much we do not know. True awareness is not static. It is a dynamic state that requires us to constantly question, seek out new perspectives, and deepen our understanding of the world. This means being open to uncomfortable truths, being willing to challenge our own biases, and staying curious about the experiences of others. The responsibility of awareness is to remain open to growth, even when it is difficult or challenges our preconceptions. Growth through awareness requires humility, the recognition that we are always learning and that there is always more to understand. Another aspect of the responsibility of awareness is taking accountability for our own lives. When we are aware of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, we gain the power to shape our lives in meaningful ways. This awareness allows us to recognize patterns that may be holding us back, whether it's negative self-talk, unproductive habits, or destructive relationships. With awareness comes the responsibility to take ownership of our personal growth and healing. We are responsible for using our awareness to make choices that align with our values, contribute to our well-being, and help us live authentically. Awareness empowers us to break free from unconscious patterns and to create a life that is purposeful and fulfilling. The responsibility of awareness includes compassion. Awareness without compassion can lead to judgment or cynicism, but true awareness fosters empathy, as it helps us see the world through the eyes of others. When we are aware, we recognize that everyone is struggling in their own way, and this understanding compels us to approach others with kindness and understanding. Compassion is the bridge between awareness and action, motivating us to use our awareness to uplift and support those around us. Awareness is a gift that brings with it great responsibility. It calls us to act with integrity, to make conscious choices, to challenge injustice, and to live with compassion. The more we cultivate awareness, the greater our ability to contribute positively to the world around us. With awareness, we are not passive observers of life, we are active participants in shaping a better future. Imagination is one of the most powerful forces we possess. It is not merely a tool for daydreams or fantasies, it is the engine of creation, a driving force behind every innovation, every movement, and every personal transformation. When we imagine, we are engaging in the act of creation, forming images, ideas, and possibilities that do not yet exist in the physical world. While many people consider imagination to be a passive exercise, it is in fact an active process that lays the foundation for all action. Imagination, as action, is the process of turning mental images into tangible reality. But at its core, imagination is the birthplace of all change. Every invention, social movement, or personal accomplishment first began as a thought or a vision in someone's mind. When we imagine, we are not merely entertaining ideas for their own sake, we are crafting blueprints for the future. Before anything is built in the material world, it is first constructed in the mind. Consider the architects who design buildings. They first see them in their imagination, visualizing the structure before ever laying a single brick. The same is true for any form of creation, whether it's a work of art, a technological innovation, or a personal goal. Imagination is the precursor to action. The power of imagination lies in its ability to stretch beyond the limits of the present reality. Through imagination, we transcend what currently exists and explore the possibilities of what could be. In this way, imagination becomes a critical tool for problem solving and innovation. When faced with challenges, it is our capacity to imagine alternatives that enables us to find creative solutions. The greatest minds throughout history, whether scientists, artists, or leaders, have relied on imagination to envision new ways of doing things. Without it, we would be confined to the status quo, unable to push beyond the boundaries of the known. Also plays a critical role in personal growth. When we set goals or aspire to change aspects of our lives, we are essentially using our imagination to picture a future that is different from our current circumstances. This imagined future serves as a guide, pulling us toward action. For example, someone who desires to improve their health will first imagine what that looks like, envisioning themselves with more energy, a stronger body, and better overall well-being. This mental image acts as a motivator, inspiring the individual to take the necessary steps toward achieving that goal. The power of imagination lies in its ability to make the future feel real in the present, which motivates us to take action. However, imagination alone is not enough to create change. It must be paired with action. Imagination without action is like a seed that is never planted. It holds potential, but it will never grow into anything substantial unless it is acted upon. This is where the concept of imagination as action becomes critical. Imagination should not be seen as separate from action, but rather as the first step in the process of creation. When we actively engage our imagination, we are setting the stage for the actions we will take. It is through this dynamic interplay between imagination and action that dreams become reality. For imagination to truly lead to change, it must be nurtured and developed. This means cultivating the ability to imagine not only what is possible, but also how to make it a reality. Visualization is a powerful tool in this regard. By vividly imagining the details of what we want to achieve, we can create a mental map that guides our actions. For instance, athletes often use visualization techniques to mentally rehearse their performances before competitions. This process helps them build confidence, focus, and a clear sense of the steps they need to take to succeed. Similarly, entrepreneurs often visualize the success of their ventures long before they launch them, using their imagination to chart the course of action that will lead them to their goals. Another critical aspect of imagination as action is the belief that what we imagine can become real. Doubt can often stifle imagination, making it difficult to translate ideas into action. However, when we truly believe in the power of our imagination, we become more likely to take the necessary steps to bring those ideas to life. This belief fuels persistence and determination, qualities essential for overcoming the inevitable obstacles that arise on the path to realizing any goal. the more we trust in our ability to create through imagination, the more empowered we become to take action in alignment with our vision. Furthermore, imagination is not limited to individual change, it also has the potential to drive collective transformation. Movements for social justice, equality, and progress have always been fueled by the collective imagination of what a better world could look like. Activists and visionaries throughout history have imagined societies built on fairness, compassion, and justice, visions that may have seemed impossible in their time. Yet, through collective action, these imagined futures have often become reality, whether through civil rights movements, technological advancements, or shifts in cultural values. Imagination, in this sense, is a radical act. It dares to envision a world that does not yet exist and inspires others to join in the effort to create it. Imagination is not a passive exercise, but an active force that drives change and creation. It is the mental rehearsal of future possibilities, the blueprint for what we can build in our lives and the world. But imagination must be paired with action to realize its full potential. When we combine the creative power of our imagination with the willingness to take concrete steps toward our goals, we transform ideas into reality. By engaging in imagination as action, we become the architects of our future, shaping the world around us through the power of thought and deed. Silence is often seen as neutral, passive, or even peaceful. However, silence is far from being an absence of action. It has power, and in many cases its impact can be profound. When we choose not to speak out, not to intervene, or not to acknowledge what is happening around us, our silence ripples outward, affecting individuals, communities, and even entire societies. The ripple effect of silence can lead to consequences that are far-reaching and at times devastating. While silence can be a space for reflection or understanding, when used in the face of injustice, suffering, or harm, it can be destructive. At a personal level, silence can deeply affect relationships. In many cases, silence can be interpreted as indifference or neglect. When someone shares their struggles or vulnerabilities and is met with silence, it can feel like their pain is being ignored or invalidated. This can create a chasm between individuals, eroding trust and deepening feelings of isolation. Relationships are built on communication, on the exchange of thoughts, feelings, and support. When silence replaces communication, misunderstandings, resentment, and emotional distance often follow. Whether it's between friends, family members, or partners, choosing silence over honest dialogue can weaken bonds and cause lasting harm. In a broader context, the ripple effect of silence can be even more pronounced. When silence surrounds injustice, oppression, or wrongdoing, it allows these forces to thrive unchecked. Silence in the face of discrimination, violence, or inequality sends a message of complicity, whether intended or not. It suggests that the status quo is acceptable, that there is no need for change or intervention. History is filled with examples of how collective silence enabled atrocities to occur. In times of war, genocide, or systemic discrimination, the silence of those who could have spoken out has often contributed to the perpetuation of suffering. When silence becomes the norm, injustice becomes normalized. Silence can also take on a more subtle form, such as the silence that surrounds uncomfortable truths. Many people choose to remain silent about issues like racism, sexism, poverty, or environmental destruction because addressing them would force them to confront their own complicity or privilege. This kind of silence is insidious because it hides behind the guise of neutrality. But in truth, there is no neutrality in the face of injustice. Silence, in these cases, is a choice, an active decision to avoid discomfort, to protect one's own position, or to ignore the plight of others. This silence can perpetuate the very systems of oppression that many claim to oppose. Moreover, silence within institutions, whether governments, corporations, or communities, can have dire consequences. When institutions remain silent about corruption, abuse of power, or unethical practices, they contribute to a culture of secrecy and mistrust. Whistleblowers and activists often face immense pressure to remain silent because their voices threaten to disrupt systems that benefit from the status quo. In these cases, silence is maintained not just by fear, but by the collective agreement to ignore what is wrong in favor of protecting the institution. However, this silence has a ripple effect on society at large, eroding public trust, accountability, and justice. On a societal level, silence can shape entire cultures. When certain voices are silenced or marginalized, whether through censorship, fear, or systemic inequality, the diversity of perspectives is lost. Silence can enforce homogeneity, where only the dominant narrative is heard. This leads to a stifling of creativity, innovation, and progress. Cultures that discourage dissent as minority voices often struggle to evolve or address pressing social issues. In contrast, societies that encourage open dialogue, where silence is broken in favor of honest, even difficult conversations, are more likely to thrive, adapt, and grow. Breaking the silence is an act of courage, and it often comes with risk. Speaking out against injustice or wrongdoing can lead to social ostracism, professional consequences, or even personal danger. Yet it is through speaking that change begins. When one person breaks the silence, it creates a ripple effect of its own, inspiring others to do the same. Movements for social change, whether civil rights, women's suffrage, or environmental activism, have all begun with individuals willing to break the silence and challenge the status quo. The power of one voice speaking out can encourage others to rise up, creating a wave of action that eventually leads to transformation. In the context of personal healing, silence can also have a powerful effect. Many individuals who have experienced trauma or abuse are often silenced by shame, fear, or societal pressures. When they are finally able to break that silence, it can be the first step toward healing. But this is not just an individual journey. When a culture of silence surrounds issues like mental health, domestic violence, or sexual abuse, it perpetuates stigma and prevents others from seeking help. By breaking the silence, individuals can challenge these stigmas and open the door for others to share their own experiences, creating a community of support and understanding. Ultimately, the ripple effect of silence is complex. Silence can be protective in certain situations, offering space for contemplation or healing. But when silence is used to avoid responsibility, to ignore suffering, or to maintain unjust systems, its impact can be deeply harmful. Silence is not a neutral force, it is an action with consequences. Each of us has a choice in how we use our voice or our silence. The question is whether we will allow our silence to contribute to harm, or whether we will use our voices to create positive change. In breaking the silence, we create ripples of courage, justice, and hope. In conclusion, silence is not merely the absence of words or action, it is a force that can either perpetuate harm or inspire change. Whether in personal relationships, societal structures, or global injustices, our silence or our decision to break it creates ripples that affect not only ourselves, but those around us. It is through awareness and the courage to speak up that we can challenge wrongs, support one another, and move toward a more just and compassionate world. Let us be mindful of the impact our silence can have and choose, whenever possible, to use our voices for good. Thank you.